Good morning. See you looking very
I'm in character.
Cyberpunk today.
I'm in costume. And there's a very good reason for that. There's probably not many people know what today is. We're recording this on August 20th. Except my watch is broken and says it's still the 19th.
Well, it's 20 for me, so.
Yeah. Well, no, it's the 20th for me as well. I think. I don't know. We're recording it on the 20th.
Yeah.
My phone says it's the 20th. My watch is just broken.
Burning.
But the reason I'm in character, and the main premise of what we're going to be talking about today is today, in the year 2023, is the day Johnny Silverhand did his raid on Arasaka Tower, and a nuke ended up going off. Now, nobody knows exactly what happened, except me. I know what happened. And we're going to be talking about what actually happened at Arasaka Tower, and how did a nuke go off, and what did Johnny actually do? What did his team actually accomplish? Because all that's explained not very well at all in game. You get a flashback segment where you play as Johnny, and it's very heroic and really cool. But here's the thing about Johnny: he's an unreliable narrator because he is I don't want to say corrupted engram. But the way his engram was taken, he was pretty much dead when it happened. And also his narcissistic personality disorder leads to him being an unreliable narrator. He made himself the hero in his own memories. Of course he did, because, why wouldn't you? But hey. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about Cyberpunk today. It's a very Cyberpunk day, and you and I both show your tattoos off. We both love this game.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine.
You have Johnny Silverhand's tattoos. I have his bulletproof vest.
There you go. Yeah.
By the way, real bulletproof vest. Not a prop, not a cosplayer. This is a real level 2 vest that I put some patches on. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? What do you know about the Arasaka Tower bombing?
I haven't read the lore videos, read the lore books like you have.
Thank you again. You bought me all of them.
There's still more I gotta get to.
You got me. I'll say you got me all the original ones. These are all original Cyberpunk. None of this is red. This is all Cyberpunk 2013, which is the original run when the game came out in the 80s. The first run of Cyberpunk was set in 2013. And then after that, there was Cyberpunk 2020, which I believe is the series of books that originally told the story about Johnny's 2 raids on Arasaka. He raided the tower twice. The second time was when the nuke went off. Back down there. Oh. But after 2020, subsequently because of the nuke going off at Arasaka Tower, Night City got plunged into what they called the Time of the Red, which then led to Cyberpunk Red. And there's some excellent stories in that. We might touch on those. And then, of course, after Red, there is the game and 2077, which is basically where we're at now. So, yeah.
Lots of lore.
There's so much lore, and I've read a lot of the books and the books I could find online, and also the wiki. If you want to know something about Cyberpunk, firstly Google it. Someone's probably already answered your question, and then next consult the wiki.
Yeah, I'm sure that the people that actually do the wiki are a lot more.
Yeah, don't be like clickbait YouTubers and just make assumptions and be like, is this Morgan Blackhand? No, he's not in the game. He's not in the game. Let it go. He's not in the game. He's probably not going to be in Phantom Liberty. I don't know why he would be. He's like the best merc Militech ever employed, but he's probably not going to be in Phantom Liberty.
Maybe he'll be in the next game, but based on Project Red's latest,
you know how
everything.
old Morgan Blackhand is now?
Yeah.
He's like 85.
No, yeah. But with the tech nowadays that they have,
he doesn't exist in the game world, but he's mentioned by Mad Mike on Mortal Rock Radio. By the way, Mad Mike on the radio is Mike Pondsmith. He's the creator of Cyberpunk. He's the DJ for that radio station.
Hell yeah.
He's mentioned just in a quick snippet. He talks about how down in Pacifica, there was a shootout in a bar and a bunch of, I think it was tiger claws ended up all shot to hell in this bar, and nobody saw really what happened or who started the shooting, but they did see a tall, portly guy with gray hair and a black cyber arm fleeing the scene. And I'm like, oh, that's Morgan Blackhand. It makes sense. He's got gray hair now. He's old. Portly, he's probably out of shape. He's old. That black anodized cyber arm, that's Morgan Blackhand. You know what? Why not? We'll start this off. Basically, I've got a bunch of tabs open here, and I'm just going to read some of them and use them as reference while I talk about people. Let's talk about Morgan Blackhand. I don't know if you can see my screen.
I cannot yet, but show's pretty. Yeah, once we have share screen, should show.
Hey, so yeah, Morgan Blackhand.
Yeah, there we go.
Combat veteran, served in the military back in the 80s, which is when all the Cyberpunk books were written in the first place. But this is where timelines diverge, and in the 80s, technology went a bit crazy, and, there was conflict in South America, specifically Nicaragua, where Johnny Silverhand served as a 17-year-old Nicaragua in the resource wars. But yeah, after the army, he started a gang. I know he didn't start a gang, sorry. Just surviving on the streets for a few months, fortuitously ran into a notorious Booster gang who took a strong dislike to him. Morgan promptly dispatched him with such finesse that he impressed a Militech recruiter who happened to be sitting nearby in that bar. Offered Blackhand an offer he couldn't refuse. He became a mercenary. He took care of problems for Militech. One of the famous cases he took care of, Carrie Uridine got kidnapped in 2019. And Morgan got him back without killing anybody. He captured all 5 of the kidnappers, alive and alone, and turned them over to authorities.
Okay.
He beat the shit out of them, but he didn't kill anybody. Here's where things get interesting. During the Fourth Corporate War, Militech had Morgan Blackhand lead its Ocean War Special Operations team. And he hired, some really highly skilled freelancers under him as part of his team. So they gathered a couple teams together, Militech did, to assault Arasaka Tower and plant nuclear demolition charges. So here's where the game diverges what actually happened. So Strike Team Alpha, Johnny's team, while yes, they carried nukes with them, and their goal was to, plant their nukes and detonate the tower as well. The only team that successfully made it to where they were supposed to be and detonated their nuke was Team Omega, which was Morgan Blackhand's team. Team Alpha, Team Beta, both failed in their objectives. Here's what's not talked about so much, but what I'm almost positive actually happened is because Team Omega wasn't intended to be the actual insertion plant the charges team, that was Alpha and Beta. Omega was there to run support. It was Morgan Blackhand and a bunch of basically full Borg Militech specials. What I think happened is that so Team Alpha, Johnny's team, ended up walking like directly into an ambush, and Johnny got pinned down by fire. They were all pinned down by fire, specifically from Atom Smasher. Johnny jumped out of cover, ran out in like the middle of the room to be a distraction to let everybody else get away, started yelling shit at Smasher, shot at him a couple times, and then immediately got auto shotgunned completely in half. But that gave enough time for Shaitan, who was also a full Borg and had a stealth cloak. Shaitan can cloak, he can go invisible, pretty neat. He grabbed Smasher from behind, had him in like a full Nelson, was holding him. But that wasn't gonna last, long. So everybody had to get the fuck out, while they still could. Rogue and Rogue's at the time boyfriend Santiago, who was a nomad. Just Nomad Santiago is his name. He is Santiago Aldecado. That's who Rogue has a kid with. They were both there. They fled while Spider Murphy used Soul Killer on what was left of Johnny to try and preserve his engram. And like I've talked about before, it's never really covered in any of the media or lore or any kind of statement how Arasaka came to possess Johnny's engram. Because we don't really know what happened to Spider Murphy or where she is by the time of 2077. I don't think she gets talked about much in Red, but yeah, probably the best Netrunner alive. Debatable, because it's a debate whether or not Raish Bartmoss is alive or dead. His body's dead, but he lives on in the net somehow. That's a whole story for another time. But yeah, she was the best Netrunner, maybe probably her, at the time of the Arasaka Tower raid, which is why she was there. And she Soul Killer Johnny, what was left of him anyway. They got away. Smasher eventually overpowered Shaitan, ended up with his brain pod, and was using it by the time they'd all fled to the roof to escape by AV. And while they were doing that, Morgan took the nuke they had, made it into the bottom lower levels, I think right above the bunker in Arasaka Tower, planted their nuke next to the Arasaka Tower's failsafe nuke.
Jesus.
Yeah, and managed to set that to detonate, and then made his way to evac back up to the roof. And while Alpha and Beta team, what was left of them, were escaping by AV, Smasher was taunting Morgan Blackhand with Shaitan's brain pod. And then the tower started to rumble and it collapsed beneath their feet. And from there, from the book, we don't know what happened to anybody involved after that, except because the game came out, we now know Smasher survived, and presumably because of that little Easter egg tidbit about Morgan, he survived as well. I'd like to believe Shaitan's brain pod survived intact and Morgan got it back, and he's in a new body somewhere. We know Rogue made it. Santiago made it. They ended up having a kid. Cool. He's in the Cyberpunk Red story, which is actually about Johnny's body. We'll talk about that when we get there. But the nuke goes off. It causes what's been referred to as the Night City Holocaust. During the Fourth Corporate War, August 20th, 2023, a Militech incursion team led by Morgan Blackhand and Johnny Silverhand attempted an infiltration mission into the Arasaka Towers of Night City in order to copy or destroy the Arasaka Corporation's reliquary database project and erase the Soul Killer 3.0 program from the network. Johnny led Team Alpha, consisting of a few Militech Spec Ops, a portion of a group of Aldecados known as the Lobos, Rogue and Shaitan, and the media, Lyle Thompson. Now, what sucks is that Thompson's only in one of the raids on Arasaka Tower in Johnny's flashbacks. It sucks that they didn't include him in the second one because Thompson was a pretty cool, badass media. And a netrunner by the name of Spider Murphy. Let's look at Spider Murphy and Thompson real quick. Spider Murphy in game, obviously, I feel like they didn't do her justice because look at Spider Murphy in the RPG. Oh, that's a bad picture. I've seen better pictures of Spider Murphy. Let's leave it at that. Spider Murphy, who famously wrote, with the help of what's survived of Raich's consciousness, compiled Raich Bartmoss's Guide to the Net, which is the first Cyberpunk lore book I ever read. I read all of it.
Yeah.
And Lyle Thompson, there he is in game. There he was in the RPG. They did all right. I mean, I feel like he looked a little cooler in RPG, but I understand, the game differences. Yeah, he was a reporter for World News Service. He covered Arasaka heavily, as well as actually running ops with them, with Johnny. And that's presumably what led to his wife getting killed, which is why he now hated Arasaka so much. Supposedly he used a FN FAL, badass gun. That doesn't look like a FAL, and also he doesn't use that in the game in his flashback, but yeah. Yeah, in the game, there's the lore discrepancy. In Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny says he doesn't work with Thompson after their attempt to rescue Alt, despite the fact that Thompson was present at the Arasaka headquarters bombing. He was part of the team.
Yeah, so right there you already have
we have a lore
that.
And there's Rogue in game, in the anime, and in the RPG. It basically looks pretty much exactly like the flashback does.
Yeah, which they did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, and I'll say the only flashback I believe that isn't really accurate of Johnny's is the tower bombing, that first introductory one, because the flashback with Thompson and Rogue and Nomad, where Johnny goes to Atlantis to hire them to go rescue Alt, that one is very lore accurate. That one's incredibly lore accurate. But
which,
anyway,
I mean, just based on the fact that Johnny does change the narrative and his own memories to kind of fit what he wants, maybe the fact that it wasn't overlooked, that Lyle wasn't there, maybe it was just the fact that Lyle did so much during it, assumedly, that Johnny just kind of took what Lyle had done during that fight and then just made it his own.
Well, we've talked about Johnny's narcissism before, and I believe a large part of that is that the two flashbacks you go through with Johnny, one of them happens as soon as V dies and comes back via the relic, and with someone who is a narcissist and wants to be liked as much as Johnny, well, it makes sense that during the first flashback he makes himself a super badass, hero of the day to let his friends escape, because he really, that's your introduction to Johnny. He wants you to like him. He wants you to think he's cool. He doesn't want you to know that he got shot in half almost immediately by Morgan Blackhand and pretty much died on the floor there. But as you progress through the game, it's a lot later that you have the flashback to rescue Alt. And that was a lot more kind of like an honest presentation of Johnny, showing you, hey, this is who I really am, because you've growing fond of each other, and he's bonded with V by that point. He can finally open up and be honest and show you, you know, he was a shitty boyfriend to all.
Yeah.
He wasn't super badass hardcore solo, you know. He got the Mantis bladed almost immediately when Arasaka took all, you know. He could barely fucking stand. And he had Thompson drive him to the Atlantis after he got to a Ripper dock, you know.
Yeah.
So, and ultimately what he did show you is that he was responsible for Alt's physical body dying because he unplugged her before she could come back from the net, and that's ultimately what killed her. And I think that's something, you know, because he's a narcissist and he can't let anything ever be his fault, he holds the grudge against Arasaka that they killed her. You know, which is why he subsequently goes on the second raid to nuke the tower and everything. And that's, I think, just him deflecting that he did that because he can't handle knowing that, you know, he killed this person he loved while trying to save her. So he just puts that all on Arasaka.
Deflection is definitely the huge part.
Yeah, Strike Team Beta was a bunch of net runners primarily. And then again, finally, Strike Team Omega, Morgan Blackhand, rest of the Militech Strike Forces. They were primarily there for fire support, reinforcement, and rescue if needed. Johnny's team dropped out of an AV on the top floor, trying to secure a quick path to the laboratories 10 floors down. Team Omega, it's unknown what path they took, but the last one to see Blackhand was one of the Lobos who witnessed him heading down a stairwell with a heavy suitcase. Morgan's the one who set the nuke off, not Johnny.
Yeah.
Alpha Team rushed to the labs, Spider accessed the computers, contact Alt and rescue her, transferred her into Spider's data suitcase. The Netrunner proceeded to download some kind of information to data chips and uploaded a virus to destroy any information regarding Soul Killer from the network. When questioned by Thompson about the data chips, Spider lied, saying they only contain information on the Arasaka development team. She downloaded Soul Killer for herself, is what she did.
Yeah.
Alpha Team was suddenly attacked by Adam Smasher because they were led into an ambush, basically. And a group of Arasaka troopers took many of them down. The Militech operatives and the Lobos badly injured Thompson, pinned down the rest of the team in the labs while both groups fired at each other. Spider snuck to her data suitcase in order to connect to the net and scatter the various portions of Alt throughout the net. Some of them went beyond the black wall, and we believe that's what now makes up the construct that is the rogue AI. That isn't an AI, it's Alt's personality, or at least a fragment of it, that you contact in Cyberpunk 2077 when you go beyond the black wall. Anyway, during these events, Johnny, who barely managed to find cover, was conflicted about what to do, felt that he had abandoned Alt last time, so he assured himself he would not do the same thing again. With the Militech SMG in one hand and his Malorian in the other, probably his left hand, the cyber hand. Yeah, his left hand's the cyber hand. Where is it? Let's look at Johnny real quick. Yeah, left arm's the cyber arm. Yeah. Probably his left hand, because that's why the Malorian was so powerful, and Johnny's left-handed, and he uses it with his left hand, the cyber hand. Left cover, shouted and provoked Smasher while emptying his gun on the board. Smasher turned around, fired his auto shotgun at him, cutting him in half. Shaitan, taking advantage of the distraction, grappled and immobilized Smasher, telling the rest of the crew to leave. Spider tried to reach Silverhand. Rogue stopped her, telling the Netrunner he was gone. Spider reached inside her jacket, pulled out a data slug. Alt had downloaded to her a long time ago. Probably Soul Killer 1, the first one Alt made. Whispering that she was sorry to Johnny, inserted the chip into the back of his skull, then tried to reach for her data suitcase, but soon realized that it had been destroyed in the crossfire. So now her copy of Alt was gone. She wished her good luck because she's just out there in the net now. She then helped Rogue and the Lobos drag the wounded Thompson back to the elevator. Spider knew Johnny would be avenged, and while touching the remaining data chips in her pocket, had the certainty that Raish Botmars would be as well, because she probably some way used Soul Killer on what was left of Raish too, to try to preserve him, because Raish did get killed earlier in, I believe it was an orbital strike by Arasaka. They used the mass driver on the moon to drop a fucking meteor on Raish. That's how much of a nuisance he was. Mission complete. Alpha team began their extraction once on top of the building. They got into the rescue AV. It was during the lifting off they saw Morgan Blackhand going on against Adam Smasher on top of the Arasaka towers. A few minutes later, once the AV was quite far away from the building, a nuke went off. When the Militech Spec Ops Arasaka troops were in a firefight, somehow the nuclear device prematurely detonated on the 120th floor of the southern tower, inside Kei Arasaka's apartment bunker, where the Soul Killer lab was located. The explosion, with a yield of either 0.1 or 0.5 kilotons, instantly obliterated the Arasaka towers, splitting them in half and causing both structures to collapse outward. The entire city and corporate district turned into ruins within seconds, almost everyone in the immediate area dying. Yeah, so there's no, the towers were empty, we'd planned an evacuation ahead of time, anything that, like they talk about in the game. They just straight up killed a couple million people.
Yeah,
as the detonation went off, 366 meters above the sea level, the explosion was technically an airburst. While this lessened overall long-term radioactivity, most of what remained penetrated only the huge skyscraper surrounding the blast area. Huge blast turned tons of raw concrete and steel of the buildings into particulate debris, covered the entirety of Northern California, far out to sea for many months. This is the time of the red. Aftermath. Night City was barely habitable for 24 hours of the detonation. Lots of night citizens were unaffected by the initial fallout. They were mostly cybered up or had radioactivity filters. However, the firestorm destroyed a large portion of the city's housing, forcing people to move over to either their suburbs or the other side of the bay, or just flee. At the time, then U.S. President Elizabeth Kress, who is featured in the Phantom Liberty DLC because she's former U.S. president, former Militech CEO, so she's a big deal, blamed the Night City attack on Arasaka. Of course she did, because Militech was behind it, and they would never admit to that.
Oh, yeah.
However, she was soon able to determine that the actual weapon used had been supplied by a Militech strike team. The big lie pushed forward by Militech in the U.S. was that Arasaka themselves had blown up the corporate center of Night City in an area denial attack to stop Militech from seizing control of the tower. This effectively ended the Fourth Corporate War. This is pretty much it. This was the end of the Fourth Corporate War.
Which, I mean, that's kind of how, even in real life, like, that's kind of how we deal with big things. I
mean, this was written in the 80s,
but with the victor.
It's incredibly, symbolic that in the U.S.-backed corporation Militech and their U.S. government, in their war against the Japanese giant Arasaka, they nuked them. Of course they did. That's what we did in World War II. But within hours of the disaster, President Kress nationalized Militech through the expedience of their CEO, General Donald Lundy, and his reserve commission. Militech was placed thoroughly under the control of the still sizable United States military and banished all Arasaka forces from the continental USA under the threat of a retaliatory strike on Arasaka's Tokyo headquarters. Yeah. Other nations swiftly followed the U.S.'s lead, nationalizing or interdicting assets of both participants of the Fourth Corporate War. So that was basically the end of it. During the rebuilding of Night City, all the radioactive rubble was tossed into the Del Coronado Bay. Totally fine, just put that shit in the ocean. Fuck it.
I mean, that's about how we deal with it now.
Yeah, well, water's a really good radioactive barrier. I mean,
it only is
the reason we use it in reactors. Yeah, all the ground zero became known as the hot zone. During the time of the Red, a young independent media known as Trace Santiago, who, by the way, is Rogue and Al Santiago's son, managed to obtain information about what truly happened, writing several exposés in a book called The Big Lie. And in 2077, Hanako Arasaka, who we meet in the game, cited the initial death toll was around 4,000 Arasaka employees, but way more than that. Had to be way more than that.
Yeah.
The bomb that destroyed Arasaka Tower was from Militech, but Arasaka had a much more powerful nuclear device hidden beneath the building's foundation for, a denial of area kind of attack. You won't take our tower, we'll destroy everything. Anyway, shortly after the incident, Kei Arasaka, oldest son of Saburo, sent people to find if the bomb had detonated was theirs, eventually finding out it had been a Militech device instead. They searched for the device, but to no avail, concluding that only someone very strong could have taken it. So the device is missing. How's the device missing? Well, the device is missing because borged up firefighter in Night City named Samantha Stevens who was also a samurai fan, found the device, decided it was too dangerous to leave the device where it was, dumped all the actual detonation part, the bomb part of the nuclear bomb, into the Del Coronado Bay. But what she kept inside of the remaining shell of the bomb was the lifeless body of Johnny Silverhand.
It's really never really. I don't think she's in the game at all.
She's not in the game. She's not talked about. Most of what happens in Red isn't talked about in the game, which is a shame. Because
it would have been a great DLC. I mean, if they'd done multiplicity.
Well, there's an epic campaign in Cyberpunk Red where one of the players is where we go. Trace Santiago. Michiko Arasaka is involved in the campaign. Samantha Stevens is involved in the campaign. And basically what you're doing in that campaign is transporting Johnny's body in that undetonated nuke across the country to the Los Alamos labs to this woman named Angel, who, apart from Samantha Stevens, was the only person who knew what the device's contents were. And over the course of the campaign, one of the mercs Samantha Stevens gives her a gift saying, the original owner's never going to use this again. And it's one of Johnny's Malorians, because apparently he had several. But this one has a cyberlink that you can hook up to, and it not only does it improve your targeting to make it way more accurate, by syncing with your optics, but it also releases all those feel-good combat chemicals to make you way more aggressive than you should be, which might explain some of Johnny's behaviors. Also, there's slight cyber psychosis he gets from the cyber arm, which he just calls the hand. But yeah, if we take a look at Angel, boy, Angel sure does look a lot like someone. Who does Angel look a lot like? Cunningham.
Yeah.
So we already know that both Alt and Raish were aware of rogue AIs who wanted to possess human bodies. And we're aware that Arasaka developed technology to make that possible, sort of with the relic. And we're aware that probably Alt knew how to do that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to believe that Angel is actually Alt, who came into a body somehow. But yeah, she's involved in the Black Dog story, which is the one I was talking about, which is a great story. Taking place in the time of the Red, revolves around a group of edge runners who tasked with transporting a mysterious crate from Night City to Los Alamos. In the meantime, they are also looking for a never heard, at the time, samurai song and information to unveil the mysteries of the Arasaka HQ incident. The samurai song is Black Dog, which Black Dog does get eventually discovered in the time of the Red and becomes popular, and it gets played on Moral Rock Radio in 2077. So, yeah, a lot of people get mentioned in the story. It's a great story. I forget who actually. One of the YouTube channels I watched did a reading of it from the Cyberpunk Red book, but yeah, a lot of questions I've seen in YouTube videos, like from people and stuff. I mean, most of it's been answered in Cyberpunk Red books. You know, you got like, and a lot of it's just questions about like Johnny's flashbacks or like what Night City was like, you know, after the bombs went off and everything. And like, it's all been covered. It all has. It doesn't talk about it all in the game.
Yeah.
But you know.
It's just one of those things that people need to
do some research, man. Do some reading. I read a shit. I love this series. I've done some reading, man.
Get the books, because a lot of the books you can get for a fair price. Like,
yeah, they're cheap.
Yeah,
they're not like expensive.
Yes, I've gotten most of the books, or some of the books I would say, from eBay, but a lot of them are available through Mike Pondsmith. Like, he has various sites he distributes them.
I think you can still buy them from our Telsorian Games.
Yeah. That was the site. I don't know if that's...
Which I've wanted to go like check out our Telsorian Games, because it's only in Kenmore. It's like a 3-hour drive away. Web store. All Cyber Generation. Yeah, Cyberpunk. Yeah. Here's like every book they've ever produced. Some of them are like $18. All Chromebooks sold out. That's sad. I need to print more of those. That's a cool one. Yeah, $20.
Yeah, I mean,
$30.
A lot of these, you know, even if you can't get them on this website, I'm sure you can find them in other places.
Yeah. Firestorm Shockwave. I'm pretty sure I have that one. That's Morgan Blackhand on the cover there. But yeah, some of the, like, even like the less popular ones, like, Forlorn Hope, it's $12. Like, that's still lore. Cheap. That's still information. Home of the Brave, that's Old Man Santiago there. The Aldecado. Yeah. The Night City book. Guide to the UK, yeah.
It's weird because actually a lot of the older ones are still in print. Besides, you can like still get them. It's just the new ones seems like.
Yeah,
like you go to the first page, but I mean that's the thing. If it's the new ones, you can get them in other places too. There's plenty of places to get them.
Yeah.
Because which one was it? Chrome 1/2.
Chromebook 1 of 2, which as far as I know, there never was a second one. Here's the like entire Red starter kit for $30 on Amazon.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Here's a bunch more Red books. This one is about net running. It's $20. I'm sorry. Yeah. The main Cyberpunk Red book by itself is like $40, which I don't know why you'd buy that and not just the game start kit, but yeah. The stuff's accessible. It's out there. You know, it's a lot of it's a good read. You get to learn cool shit like who Michiko Arasaka was. Michiko was kind of a badass. has a big role in the Black Dog story. Not a big role, but you learn a lot about her in that. She appears in the game. She looks very different. She looks like that in game, and she only appears in the Arasaka ending, which you learn a lot during that ending, but you should never do that ending, man.
Yeah, it's very much to sell yourself to the devil.
That's why that ending's called the devil, yeah. Saburo.
Yeah, which leaves another one that really is not great. I mean, especially once you realize, like, that the son was actually doing the right thing, was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, also, like, the Fourth Corporate War, we should talk about, like, it wasn't just, like, Militech and Arasaka in Night City. Like, it got real hot, and it made shit real bad. June 9th, actually, my birthday, Arasaka forces attacked a Militech factory in Virginia, while Militech-backed mercenaries massacred employees of an Arasaka factory in Yokohama. By mid-July, the attacks were a daily occurrence. The war wasn't confined to Earth either. Attacks occurred in orbit as well, disrupting space travel and business even further. Everything was made worse by a strange corruption in the net. Numbers and data were changed simply at random. It marked the beginning of the data crash. Thank you, Rage Bartmoss. By late spring 22, war had spread to space. Arasaka seized the Militech office in Los Angeles. Militech staged a riot at Arasaka's Paris offices. They used extraction to access the building, pump it full of toxin, killing everyone inside. Late summer 22, strikes in Chicago turned into outright war when aerial and orbital support were called in. The battle ended when nomads from the Meta and Folk nations, both of whom had contracts in the still rebuilding city, used covert teams to demolish both Arasaka and Militech forces. So the at one time largest nomad nation in the country had to eliminate both of them in Chicago to stop the war there. Militech released a bioplague in the city of Busan. I've been to Busan. Busan's huge. The city was evacuated by the Korean government and later quarantined. And here's a cool thing about that is that there's another story about Busan in Cyberpunk, I believe in Cyberpunk Red, that talks about how the city's been quarantined and yeah, everyone inside was supposed to have died, but new construction keeps happening in the city. And it's not like maintenance bots repairing things, like it's new construction happening. So that hasn't been delved into whatsoever later on, but that's an interesting thing. What's going on in Busan, in the quarantined city, the new Kowloon walled city of the cyberpunk world?
Yeah, which, I mean, that's the thing with them talking about how a lot of people during the nuke were unaffected based on cyberware. It goes into, could they have figured out what the plague was and then basically engineered some cyberware to deal with the plague, that way it could be inhabitable again?
Yeah. I guess for now we don't know, and hopefully someday we find out.
Yeah, it's really just going to be a matter of waiting, because I mean, now that CD Projekt Red knows how
beloved this IP is.
Yeah, and now that they realize that making it their own game engine, is just not the way.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody still makes their own engine besides like Rockstar, because they've already got the Rage engine. But like, it's fucking use Unreal, dude. Unreal's existed forever, and it's great.
With Unreal 5 looking the way it does, that'll be a lot easier for them to make the next, because, I mean, yes, they have the lore. Johnny won't be in it. I mean, kind of a given.
You don't know that.
Hopefully,
you don't know that. Fuck, where did I see it? I'm gonna look for it real quick, but go ahead while I look for it.
But I mean, even if he's not, that's the thing is, even if we don't do Night City, even if we do other areas of the game, like the game has enough popularity, and if you put enough funding into it, and it could do very well in that you don't even have to do, like, just based on the reviews I'm hearing about the new DLC that they're coming out with, which is in a totally different area and not Night City, like, it sounds great. And that's the thing is, like, Cyberpunk is more than just Night City.
Yeah, Cyberpunk definitely is more than Night City. And I mean, from reading the book, it's an entire world. There's a lot of really diverse and awesome locations to explore that they could explore. Like, all of Appalachia basically is referred to as the Rust Belt. It's mostly automated, like, factories and mines and shit. And it's like, that'd be a really cool junkyardy kind of dystopian, like, aesthetic to play with. But I understand why the first big main entry in the series had to really be, like, in Night City, in the city where everything happens, you know? And it had to touch on, from what Mike Pondsmith has said, the closest thing to a main character of the entire Cyberpunk series he's created as you can get, Johnny Silverhand. And I can't find it, and I can't remember where I saw it, but he said somewhere, he's like, of course Johnny can't die. Johnny's never going to die. Johnny always has to be involved because he's Johnny. He's the main character. You know, he's like, he's like guaranteed, like, no matter what happens, like, Johnny's going to end up in it somehow or involved. Samurai's music is going to be in it, which, by the way, The Refused absolutely killed it when bringing Samurai songs to life. I mean, that for a fictional band, it's one of my favorite bands of all time. I mean, it's phenomenal. I love Samurai's music as performed by The Refused. I think they did great. And my only hope is that with the upcoming Phantom Liberty DLC, which should be, I think, next month sometime. September 27th, maybe? Could be wrong, but I think so. That the finally released Archangel gets...
September 26th.
26th? That was one day off.
Yeah.
I knew pretty well. But anyway, I hope that the finally completed Archangel gets added into the game, because you've heard Archangel in-game as just that guitar melody that Johnny plays. He talks about it. It was a song he never fully released or something. And you can play it to... when you in the mission where you break into Carrie's mansion, you become Johnny with the pills, and you play something to get Carrie out of the bathroom. What I always play is Archangel, because nobody but Johnny could ever play Archangel, so of course it'd have to be him. And that guitar riff is so killer. I love it. I might play it and risk the copyright right now just because I'm thinking about it. But The Refused finished the song.
Mm-hmm.
And the song kicks ass. Let's go to YouTube real quick. Hi, YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you play it off the Cyberpunk thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is 1 year ago. I don't know if this is the finished song or not. No, this is the finished song. But that guitar riff, man.
Yeah.
That guitar riff. Oh,
yeah, it's definitely very...
I'm never more awake and alert and aggressive, ready to go do some shit than when I hear that guitar riff. That's...
You close the stream there, buddy.
Huh?
You close the... you're done doing your screen share.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done with sharing my screen.
So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where they go to next. I mean, I know that they're actually doing, touring throughout the whole world right now, which really hoping that I could go see it, but I don't think I'll be able to.
They're touring with Phantom Liberty, or
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
so members. Oh damn! I already missed that. Yeah. So. Yeah, they were. What thing? Oh, actually, fuck, I could have done it. Well, I already missed the deadline because yeah, they're doing it September 2nd, and they were going to. Oh, they'll be held in Japanese. It wouldn't even been worth it for me then, anyways. Yeah.
You just get your phone out recording the whole thing, and then you're gonna feed it into Google Translate later.
Yeah. Yeah, so like it would have been cool, but like it would have been all Japanese, so I wouldn't have, even if I could have gone, I would have been able to understand much.
It would have been cool to go just like to get like rare swag, I don't know, like a keychain that they never made again or something. You know, I've still got my fucking Quadra VTEC Cybercar keychain that I had on the Corvette for a little bit, but obviously took it off when I had the Corvette. But
yeah,
when I have a Cyberpunk car again, which someday we will have Cyberpunk cars, I probably will. I know I've talked about share my screen again. Yeah, I talked about building the no, it's not this one. Okay. Oh, never mind. There we go. Yeah, the Villefort Alvarado, the 6-wheeled giant Cadillac. I've talked about we're going to build one of those one day.
Yeah.
That'll probably be the first Cyberpunk car we build, because big-ass old Cadillacs are pretty cheap, actually. But, yeah, I know there's a guy out there in, I think, the Czech Republic, or maybe Poland, who we've watched actually build that Cyberpunk Quadra VTEC kit car. He molded his own fiberglass body and made it in shit. I'm surprised there aren't any images of his car here, but this one looks
Burning Wrenches.
Burning Wrenches, yeah, on YouTube. Check them out. He's built a Quadra VTEC kit car, basically, and we're going to be doing a similar kind of the same thing someday. We're also going to build one of those, and I'll finally have a use for that keychain. Probably. So I lied when I said the Cadillac would probably be our first Cyberpunk car. I think our first Cyberpunk car is definitely going to be a Johnny Silverhand's Porsche 930 Turbo. You know, because
it'll be easy.
You love Porsches, it'll be pretty easy. And in GTA, no, I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be a fantastic thing to build.
Yeah, it's really the biggest thing. It's just going to be doing the interior, because the rest of it, I mean,
the interior is not, insane. It ain't crazy out there.
It's I mean, mainly just the screens and all that.
Yeah.
Getting those to look normal. Plus, I mean,
when they're the weird
for some reason
is a neat thing.
Plus, for some reason, they don't have a shift knob there, even though there definitely would have been one. I mean, I can see that there's only 2 pedals, but there's no way Johnny would have driven an automatic.
Maybe he did. You don't know. I don't know.
I highly doubt it. For someone as macho as him, highly doubt. But yeah, I'm serious.
Yeah, there are just 2. Those pedals actually look like Logitech gaming pedals too, which I love. That's
yeah, they're very.
This looks very buildable though.
Alright, so yeah, it'll have some it'll have V's voice actor, his Japanese voice actor.
Oh.
It'll have the localization manager. It'll have the studio trigger at the Edgerunners producer.
That sounds like some neat shit if you understood the language they'll be speaking, or if you gave a shit about who V's Japanese voice actor was. I kind of don't, because I've never heard V speak Japanese. So
yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the special stage for inviting, cosplayers, photo spots, concept food and drink, good sales. Sounds very neat, but I'd have to fly up to Tokyo, and considering it looks like it's only one day, I would fly up there either the previous night and stay in a hotel, or fly up there in the morning, and then
get drunk at the hotel bar that night, and then crash hard, fly home sometime the next afternoon.
Yeah, basically. Actually, I mean, it looks like it goes from noon to 7, so it's only a 7-hour event. So
not much of a con, but a pretty neat little thing to go see.
Yeah, it's neat, but I'm all good.
Yeah,
I'll just wait.
It's nothing I'd need to go see. It's not like fucking Mike Pondsmith's gonna be there,
No. So. No, and honestly, playing the DLC for a little bit would just make me impatient for the 24 days till it would actually come out. So
yeah.
Which, for people watching, make sure you do pre-order. I mean, I know I say don't pre-order basically all the time, but you also get a pretty cool car pre-ordering.
I pre-ordered it, I think, the day that you could pre-order it. So I've bought it already. I've only done that with 2 things on Steam in the entire time I've been on Steam. I did that with Phantom Liberty and Payday 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which, we're not here to talk about Payday today.
Payday is
No, I can't wait for Phantom Liberty. I can't wait to see how much is added. Apparently, it's not just that DLC. That DLC is part of the update, and the update remakes the whole game.
Yes.
I guess, which I don't know how I feel about that. I know a lot of people who already really love the game, like me and you. I don't know how much I want my game changed.
I mean, realistically, all you'd have to do is, if you didn't like what the update did, then you just have to revert it to a previous update.
Yeah.
Really, that's all. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I mean,
I am too. I can't wait to find out.
I'm sure it's nothing but good things. I mean, considering the people that have, like I said, that have played the DLC, they've said nothing but good things about it. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But
I need to find out for myself. I need to know firsthand.
Yeah, that's basically the best way to do basically anything. But I think it'll be fine. It'll be definitely a good thing to see them kind of. I mean, they've already started to get the love back from the community because of how much better the game is now.
Double-edged sword, but a lot of that comes from Edgerunners, and I liked Edgerunners. I thought it was very well made. I thought it was cool. I'm glad it brought a lot of people back to the game. But I really hate Cyberpunk fans who are only fans of Edgerunners and always say the dumbest shit in Facebook groups, like, is David still alive? No, he's dead. He's definitely dead.
Yeah.
People do die in Cyberpunk. There's not any happy endings in Cyberpunk, really, ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you're not gonna run into Lucy. You're not gonna do. They're not gonna put any more Edgerunners in because that's
it's done. It's over. If they make a second season, it'll be about new people, probably in a new place.
Which is what they should do, because people are kind of reliant.
Busan. Shit's going on there. I want to know about it.
Yeah, there's Busan, there's Nusa, there's so many places. But I mean, that's the user reviews are now very positive overall and it's in the top sellers, so it's definitely gotten a lot better, even through the community. So
it's gonna be
Which is
hype.
good.
Hopefully, it's so hype, and I mean that in a good way, not a bad hype way, like we talked about with Driver 3. But hopefully, it's gonna be so hype that CD Projekt Red will, you know, divide up their development staff, or maybe hire some new people and have like a dedicated wing of people working on like just the Cyberpunk IP, instead of splitting it between that and The Witcher, because you know, I love CD Projekt Red, but I could not give a fuck about The Witcher. Don't care at all about that IP. I really only care about Cyberpunk, and I want them to like focus on that because that's the thing I like most. I'm selfish in that regard, but I mean,
yeah,
I feel like
I mean,
it's a better world than the one of The Witcher because I like it more. Of course, I feel that way. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's fine to be selfish, but I mean, they're gonna do Witcher next because it's basically the same as any famous company. They're not gonna devote all their time to one. They're gonna do a few different things.
yeah.
Even From Software, I want them to go and do more of that, but I understand that their Armored Core is a big thing and it hasn't had an entry in the series for a while.
It's been quite a while, and part of that is because our Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day, which was the 5 Part 2, because they always do that. There's always like a numbered Armored Core, and then after that, there's always one that's sort of a play on the number. Like there was 4, and then there was 4 Answer. And then there was 5, and there was Verdict Day, and the V was the 5. Yeah, they always do that with them.
Yeah.
But 5 and Verdict Day were not well received because they took everything that was really great about 4 and For Answer, and even older games like Silent Line, and they kind of ruined it. And that was that you could build really fast, really agile mechs, and you could do things like perpetual flight with the right combination of parts, and you could be basically like a wasp, you know, in the air with your perpetual flight, you know, kind of quick darting agile mech. And a lot of people loved to play that way and play it fast and really, you know, not just build tanks with a billion missiles on them. And 5 and Verdict really slowed the combat down and slowed the mechs down and made it pretty much impossible to play the game the way a lot of people really like to play it. So that's why they were. And I haven't seen much about 6. Not.
Yeah, it's back to the fast
pace. I'm less hype about 6 now than I was when it was announced, because I've seen gameplay and I'm like, oh, it looks. It's the dumbest thing I could say. Like, oh, it doesn't look like the old PS3 Armored Core games. I don't think I'm going to be into it because those are the ones I really liked. I liked 4 For Answer and Silent Line. One of the most epic things you could do in that game was the battling the arms forts, which are just basically just giant extreme mechs that you've got to fly around in your mech to destroy different parts of to bring down. Let me fucking pull some of that up real quick, actually. Fuck it. I know we're off topic on the Cyberpunk, but Armored Core is a pretty Cyberpunk game, really. So, I mean, yeah, let's pull up this video. Northbound. Mission, blah, blah, blah. You gotta go take out the Spirit of Motherwill. It's a giant fucking arms fort. It's just... And you don't get a feel for the scope in this briefing. But then when you hop in the mission and fly up to the fucking thing, you're already a mech half the size of a skyscraper. Look how big this fucking thing is.
Yeah.
You want to talk about corporations getting way too militaristic and out of control like they do in Cyberpunk? Well, they did it. They did it in Armored Core. Look at that fucking thing.
Yeah, that's many times the size of even an aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you can see you got to fly all around that shit to destroy it, and then to play the destruction clip of it actually blowing up. Yep. Fucking captions on for it. Does it have 40 million? I don't know. It's about to.
Mm.
There we go. And yeah, you know, PS3 graphics, whatever, it's old, but like, if you could do some shit like this again, just with it looking as good as like recent From Software stuff, like, you know, Elden Ring does, it was like that in Unreal Engine 5 would have looked fucking amazing. And like that's what I mean. Like it was always very much like about the military industrial complex kinda, and how that got out of hand and humanity's struggle to survive against AI and things like us destroying the planet because we did. And I don't know what Fires of Rubicon is about, but I was really, really hoping it wouldn't be just like Elden Ring with mechs. And from what I saw of gameplay and stuff, it kind of just looks like Elden Ring with mechs, and I'm like, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, and Armored Core is not my thing, so I'm not been playing it. But it definitely looks very fast paced compared to older ones. Which, yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna wait on it. I'll probably still end up getting it and playing it. Hopefully, when I have the PC finished, you know, that can run it.
Yeah.
Which is the main reason I've been waiting to do for the channel an actual playthrough of Cyberpunk. Because this computer really can't utilize that game to its fullest. And, you know, I feel like anyone who actually watches our content, I love them, bless them. Thank all 7 of you for watching our shit. But you guys deserve to see that game in all of its glory, which is why I have not done it yet on my shit old laptop that can pretty much barely run it. But yeah, when I get the new PC finished, I will do a full-on balls out ray tracing whatever playthrough, and we're gonna do what I'll refer to as the most lore accurate possible playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, which I mean, it's fine to take your time. Like at this point, just wait till the DLC comes out and then do it all.
I don't think I'll have a computer finished by then.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like,
yeah, no, it would be a complete playthrough involving the DLC and everything, and every side quest, every gig, all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, really the way it should be done.
Unmarked quests that people don't know about, those 2. There's only one, really, that I don't know anything about so far. I'm sure you've seen about it. It's the girl crying on the dock, and then you hop in the water, go get a key, and then bring it back to her, and then she stops crying and walks away. And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what the fuck is going on with that. No one knows anything about it. I'm really hoping that with the release of Phantom Liberty, they either finish or just answer the ARG finally. Because there's been no update on that for like a year now.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like they kind of just dropped it, which would be depressing, but I mean...
It would be depressing, but that is unfortunately what happens to most ARGs, is they end up just...
Yeah, they just kind of get forgotten about.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't, though, because the tarot cards, the statues, that weird pink color, the rings, it all means something. It all means something, and damn it, I don't even know what the hell it means. I'm pretty sure what it means is that Raish and Alt are helping rogue AIs from beyond the Black Wall inhabit human bodies through stolen Arasaka tech, you know, like the relic, and that's why Yorinobu was trying to sell it initially before we stole it in the heist to guess who he was trying to sell it to?
Probably Miltex.
Netwatch.
Oh.
The computer FBI. Yeah. Why? Well, probably because Netwatch didn't build the Black Wall. The rogue AIs built the Black Wall. Because the rogue AIs didn't want to keep themselves out of the net. They wanted the net to leave them alone. Also, the Black Wall is an AI. And it may someday become self-aware and turn itself off or turn on the net. I don't know. there are certainly still things beyond the black wall that are incredibly dangerous, like rogue AIs and also rabbits. I cannot remember what rabid stands for. Raish automated bot something. I don't know. Raish Bartmoss's AI copies of himself that he unleashed on the net when he did the data crash. But yeah, they're Yornova was planning to sell it to Netwatch, probably to bring down Arasaka, probably because Alt and Raish both worked with Netwatch in the past, as well as Militech. Netwatch aren't. There's certainly, it's like cops, there's good and bad cops.
Oh, yeah.
But certainly there are awful, terrible, evil Netwatch agents, but like, Netwatch aren't the bad guys,
Yeah. Roving, autonomous, Bartmoss interface drone.
Yeah. Rabbids. It sucks that they didn't. For the second game, what I want, biggest thing probably, is like more in-depth net running. I don't want to just solve number puzzles to hack shit. I want to crash data fortresses. I want to run the net. I want to actually enter a separate game world.
Yeah, that would kind of lead more into...
watch BDs, too. You did it like 3 times in the story, and then you could never do it again, like with all the BDs you find out there. Like, dude, I want to watch BDs. That'd be cool.
System shot.
You know what, honestly, did a great sort of representation of what I feel like running the net would be like is... it's a shit game and I hate it, but Fallout 4's Far Harbor DLC, when you go inside Dima's mind.
Oh, yeah. I played like 20 minutes of the Far Harbor and I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't care.
There was a great just segment in that where you go inside Dima's mind and you've got to like destroy data and it's all like blocks and shit and it's very different than like what Fallout actually looks like. And I was like, see, that'd be like a great representation of like what it's like to be in the net. Like when you went and did the Militech training shard at the start of the game. I mean, basically, you're in a training shard there, but like that's pretty much what running the net would be like. It's a simulated environment. Also, in Raish Bartmoss's Guide to the Net, which I have down here somewhere. Where is it? I need it for effect. I couldn't possibly make my point without it. What did it part of this guy do? Oh.
Yeah, here.
In Raish Bartmoss's Guide to the Net, he has detailed descriptions of what the net in each region looks like.
Mm-hmm.
He also talks about Netwatch, what their agents look like. Maps of data hubs. Like they have everything they needed in this book to create a net world inside the game world of Cyberpunk. And the way it looked in game when you go beyond the black wall and stuff, I wasn't super thrilled about that. I was like, this could have been so much more.
There's always... I mean, I'm not going to hit them too much on that. They could have done a lot more, but like, they didn't know if it would actually be a successful game or not.
That's very true. It's very true. Hopefully in the next one, we're expanded and enhanced. We're more of everything I loved and less of all the things I didn't like. There wasn't really much I didn't like about the Cyberpunk.
But yeah, this is here. This is more so. You can see it there.
Yeah,
there.
That's essentially what data fortresses on the net look like, especially in subspace, which is like the Russian portion of the net.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like they do a lot of it in that System Shock remake. I mean, I don't know if they did it in the original because I never played the original, but the remake they definitely do it a lot, and it's
that's pretty much what it looks like. Yeah, that would have been great.
It's like a shooter, but like it was fun, little neat game.
Something else I'd just like to add. I know it would be probably a little more difficult for them to do with like a second game. But I'd like the option to be in third person just by default, because like I spent all this time customizing this character, and I've like applied tattoos where I wanted them, and I've got some mods for cyberware, and I went and I found this unique armor set, and I hunted down all the parts of it, and then like, well, I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
I see this much of my hands sometimes when I'm holding a gun or punching or like driving. Like, oh, that's sure wonder why all these RPG character creation elements were in here for me to never see any of them. And I understand there's a third person mod, which I have for the game, but it's a bit finicky because it is a mod. It's not a default thing. Some of the animations look weird because they were never designed to be seen. So, but hey, I still love the game.
That, and if they can do cutscenes that actually utilize your character. Oh.
Yeah. Well,
because
are there really any cutscenes in Cyberpunk?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I mean, it's all pretty in-engine stuff, and it being from the first-person perspective, it's always really you seeing it happen as it happens. I mean, like,
yeah, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, like that sort of thing, because it has been done before. Resident Evil 4 Remake just did that. So if you used a custom character model, it would actually show it in the cutscenes.
That's fantastic. That's great.
So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like
when I'm playing through it,
next Cyberpunk is many years off because, like we said, they're going to be doing Witcher, and then they'll be probably working on that. So,
by the time the next Cyberpunk game comes out, a lot of us will actually have cybernetic implants. I bet.
More than likely, just because it's so far in the future.
He's become such a meme, but I mean, Elon's working on that. It's not like he's going to stop working on it. I said he's not working on it. He owns a company that's working on it. He's not very intelligent at all. He's just happens to be rich and own things. So
that's the thing is he got a very good start on life because his daddy owned an emerald mine
in apartheid South Africa.
Yeah, which I mean he does disprove. He's actually gone on Twitter and I guess X now and said proof that my dad owned a mine. And it's like, fucking his dad was like, hey, I know you're offering people you're gonna pay someone if they prove it. Can I claim it? It's like your dad wants that money now.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I definitely won't be getting it because I
will
don't
not
trust
be getting
the first.
I certainly won't be an early adopter of that. You are absolutely correct there. Yeah.
I will get it eventually when other companies that aren't owned by Elon Musk say, yeah, it's probably good.
Yeah, when we get to the point that cyberware is like it is in Cyberpunk 2077, I will absolutely have some. Probably not box stock off the shelf stuff. Probably very customized stuff because you know me. I can't leave anything alone. I gotta hot rod all my shit.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a fucking air gun when I was still working as a tech, and I bought like the best half-inch air gun.
Mm.
Yeah, half-inch. Yeah, best half-inch air gun you can get. It's an Aircat. It does like 900 something foot-pounds of like loosening torque on full reverse with a half-inch airline running to it, which is what most shops have. But I couldn't just leave my brand new air gun alone. I had to take it apart and then polish the barrel, and then I had to get like instead of just rubber little things in it that slide into the spinning barrel inside the drum that actually generates air pressure rotors. Little clipper. I had to get like phenolic resin rotors that are like more durable and less friction so that it can spin faster. I had to hot rod my air gun. Like I can't leave anything. The only thing I haven't hot rodded because I don't have the eyesight or the hand-eye coordination to really do it is like watches. I have taken this watch apart and put it back together a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I took the bezel off of it recently. I don't know where it went, but I have a bunch of bezels for it that I could just pop on there. So I mean, Yeah, I gotta hot rod all my shit. I can't just leave anything alone. I haven't taken my vape apart and fucked with it yet, really. I got hot rod batteries in it. But I mean, that's it. That's as far as I'm willing to go with that, because I don't know. I'm kind of trying to quit, not really trying to quit vaping anyway. So, yeah. Phones, though.
Yeah, we will.
I don't know anything about phones, so I haven't like hot rodded my phone at all. I put a sticker on it. That's about it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we haven't.
I don't know
We
anybody who's
did.
really out there hot rodding phones, though. So I mean,
Yeah, you can't really unless you start getting into 3D printing, because that would be really the only way to make case for
yeah.
something part. They did back in 2013 try a modular phone, but it failed, unfortunately.
Yeah, I may dabble in 3D printing a bit, as I'm going to be going to school for machining here in a month, and I'm going to be doing, both CNC machining and also CNC programming. So I mean,
Yeah.
I want to learn how to make all the shit I may ever need to make the cool shit that I want to make, because it's cool,
Mhm.
Yeah, and I like hot rodding shit. I hot rod everything. I hot rodded my Zippo. There's not a whole lot you can do to hot rod a Zippo. It's just like an aftermarket wick and different. Instead of the cotton wadding, that's just cotton balls they shove in there where you dump lighter fluid in. It's like a foam that holds more of it and longer. So I mean, I've done that too.
Yeah.
I got a
that's really
fancy
the big
flint
issue with
that makes
Zippos
really
is
big
if you don't use them enough, obviously it evaporates.
Yeah.
So
it evaporates out, and your flint eventually will calcify, and then you'll just flick and flick and flick, and there won't be any sparks, and nothing will happen, and then But I mean, it's really easy to fix all that. You just put new cotton in, throw a new wick in there, pop in a new flint, and you've got a working Zippo again. They're really easy to fix when they're broken. Yeah. I hot rod everything though. I hot rodded my gun. My gun that I bought as a kit and built myself. I had to hot rod that with a threaded barrel and attachment, and I did a trigger job on it and polished all the metal in the trigger mechanism, even though there's very little and most of it is plastic because it's a Glock. It's like polymer, it's plastic. I don't have much of a machining background yet, but in school I actually made something out of metal myself. I made this wrench. I made this 1-inch wrench in diesel school. When I was still a first-year student in diesel school, I made this 1-inch wrench out of, I think, a piece of frame rail, that I cut, and then loosely kind of cut out the shape with a torch, and then used just a bench grinder and other grinders to make it into a wrench, and then I engraved it, put my name on it.
Yeah, it's upside down, but...
Put my name on it, and it's backwards because my camera's mirrored, but yeah, put little inch marks on it. This is a 1-inch wrench. It's not great, but hell, it was my first attempt at ever making a wrench, and it would probably break if you tried to really put a bunch of torque on it and use it, because it's not like tempered steel or anything. It's just fucking metal that I cut out and grinded on. It isn't forged or anything like an actual wrench.
It's just something that you made, which.
Yeah, it's a great. I leave it on my coffee table because it's a cool display piece. Because it's dude, I made that. Look at that thing I made. That's cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I will absolutely be a cyberware enthusiast. When it comes to be. Which
when
hopefully by 2077, it's like 2077. I would love that. Without all of the corporate wars and dystopia, but that kind of comes with the territory, and I mean that's just where we're headed. Just corporations running everything, and eventually probably running militaries and going to war with each other for money, and yeah.
I mean, already our politicians hate, and I don't really want to get too dystopian, so that's really just depressing. Because we're getting all the downsides, but none of the upsides.
We're getting all the downsides of dystopia without any of the upsides right now. We're headed towards corporate wars, but we don't have any of the cool cybernetic implants yet. What the fuck, man? I want some of those.
Well,
we'll get there someday.
One day.
But yeah,
this is fun.
Really all I had for Cyberpunk, I just wanted to kind of tell the story of like what actually happened at Arasaka Tower that day, what happened afterwards. Talk about Johnny, because Johnny probably my favorite character.
He's very charismatic.
Well, I mean, the original vision for him, Mike Pondsmith said, was like David Bowie crossed with Bryan Adams. And that's what his drawing looks like. And then, you know, obviously as time has gone on, you know, rock and like punk rock have changed a little bit. And I think to bring that character to life, there was probably no one better than Keanu Reeves. Because he's an iconic character. I have a statue of him. He's an iconic character now. I want to build his guitar one of these days.
I mean, he was a good choice just because.
On YouTube, so now I know how. It doesn't look that hard.
Yeah, he was definitely a good choice.
Yeah, and the first thing I want to learn how to play on it is Archangel, because I love that guitar riff so much.
That's going to be one hell of a
I haven't played guitar since like freshman year of high school, and I finally I broke a bunch of the strings on my shitty $100 CA House music guitar and decided I wasn't going to fix it, and I just let it fall apart. And I threw it in its case, and I don't know, it's somewhere in my parents' basement maybe.
Jesus, yeah, you're gonna have a hell of a time learning that. But I mean, it's always good to have aspirations.
Yeah, I never learned how to play. I always just fucked around with my guitar and
it's usually how you start.
Yeah.
I was the same way many years ago when I played, but
check connections. Connections are fine.
But yeah, we'll probably end that here then. That way, I can drop this up for actual today.
I got a fucking city to burn. I know he never wore blue ones, and I had chrome ones over here, but I just like the blue ones better. I'm a blue aviators kind of guy. I probably always will be. The longest I've owned a pair of sunglasses is this pair. I've had these since 2017. They're like $6 at a gas station, and I've still got them. I've got 3 pairs of them because I went back and bought 3 more. I was like, I'm going to lose these or break them. I want more. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I love me some cheap reflective aviators. But yeah, that would really all I have for that. Yeah, I love Cyberpunk. I don't know when this will go up.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop it today. I'll edit it real quick and then drop it today when it's up for full.
Shit, yeah. Well,
So.
fuck.